This video is brought to you by the Moore Flats Fishing Crew. I hope you enjoy.
Good morning, Fishing and Faith fans. It's going to be a great day with or without any fish. Like I've said before, we'll leave that in God's hands. Today, we're fishing Western Lake. It's a coastal dune lake in an extremely beautiful area in South Walton County. I've never fished here before, so it will certainly be a challenge, but we should have some fantastic scenery. Today we're going to have some great shots of the beautiful outdoors created by God for us to enjoy. To believe in God means you believe He created all this, and there is no other alternative. This week's topic involves respect for authority, and while I could go on about that forever, because not only do we need to respect nature by keeping these beautiful places clean, we need to respect each other. This is another issue our society is struggling with today. So let's see if we can catch some fish, and the Bible verses and devotional will follow at the conclusion of the fishing trip. All right, first fish on. Feels good. Feels really good. Oh. All right. Well, I'm thinking this first fish is a redfish because it's pulling really hard. Look at that. It's got to be a redfish for it to be. Oh, it came off. You got to be kidding me. Man, that was a good fish. Gosh.
Well, now I know there's some fish in here, and possibly some big ones. When I was researching a location to fish this weekend, because I knew there'd be strong winds, and of course you can see the waves the winds are making on this small lake, I came across these lakes out here in Drayton Beach and decided I'd try it. I did my research and found that people have caught redfish, trout, bass in this lake. I was kind of skeptical, but figured I'd give it a shot and see if I could catch some of those fish. So we're out here now, and from that first one, there's definitely something swimming around in this water because it was pulling real hard. And if I could have got that one up to the surface to see it or landed it, I think it'd have been a really nice redfish just by the way it was pulling. So in terms of tackle today, I've got freshwater tackle and saltwater tackle. The first lure I was using, of course, was the red craw, which I've had so much luck recently with bass fishing in some of the small ponds. But I figured I'd start with it here today because I'm not sure what I'm going to find or catch. So just keep watching. We'll see what we can find the rest of the day. Maybe we can track down another redfish if that's what that was, or some large bass. So we'll see what happens. But I can tell you this area is definitely a very, very nice area. It's pristine. There's not very many houses on the lake. There are some, but there's not many. And I think this is going to be a fun day of fishing. Hopefully, we'll find some fish. Alright, well, I'm still targeting the shoreline. I think that's where the bass are moving. We've had a lot of warm weather, and from the reports I'm reading, they're getting ready to spawn, so they're going to be moving to shallower water. So I'm still targeting and casting towards the shore. And there was a nice little bass. He let himself go, which is good for me and him both. And that's still using that red crawfish crankbait. Now here I'm in a different spot, still casting toward the shore. I'm using a Mirror Mirrodine, which is a different type of hard swim bait, and actually it's, I guess, made for salt water, but it runs a little shallower than that red crawfish lure does, and there's this area of the lake, the crankbait was kind of getting bogged down in the grass, so I switched over to this just to see, because if there's redfish or trout in here, they'll eat this bait. So right now I'm back here in this little cove on the west side of the lake. If you look at that map, it's one lake, but it's separated by a small creek, and I'm on the bigger portion on the west side now, cast along the shoreline. And of course, if you read the title, there were two somethings in the water, and I had no idea what they were. But I got a bass on now on that Mirrodine, and it's a smaller one, bigger than the last one that came off, but not as big as some of the other ones I've been catching recently. But he was a nice fish, and a fun catch for the second one of the day. Anyway, get him unhooked, and I'll put him back in the water for a minute to get some oxygen, and then I'll hold him up for everybody to see. I like to release most of the fish I catch, just because that way someone else has an opportunity to catch them later. And they can really only be out of water for about 30 seconds, or you could do them harm. So, but pretty little fish, really dark colored compared to some of the other ones I was catching in Roberts Lake, which is crystal clear water. And this water's a little darker, so that may be why he's a little darker himself. So we'll release him. There he goes. But like I was saying, I saw some stuff in the water, and I don't know what it was. And the camera did pick it up. It's hard to see, but there's something out there. I didn't know what it is or what it was, and I wasn't going over to find out. So I don't know. If you can zoom in and check it out and make a determination or make a guess on what you think it may have been, that's fine. But they were staying away from me, and I stayed away from them. They were moving from the left side of the screen across to the right. They weren't alligators, because the way they kind of lifted their head up out of the water. But from the distance, they kind of looked like very big iguanas. I mean, they weren't real close to me, but I wasn't going over there to see what they were. And I don't know if they were otters, but whatever they were really big animals, reptiles, whatever. For a second, I thought it may have been like a python, because the body was kind of curved when the head would come out, like the back would come out, and it was longer than what you would think like an otter or a beaver. I don't even know if we have otters in this area. But there's something out there. And of course, it stayed away from me, so that's a good thing. So, I don't know, maybe someone who's familiar with that area might know, but I don't know. I wasn't close enough to really get a good look. All I could see is there was two large somethings moving across the water, and they couldn't have been further away than they were. Right now I'm back on the east side of the lake. And I'm back to the crawfish crankbait, and now I'm fishing docks and the shoreline. And of course you can see the winds finally died down, so the water just like glass out there, which is perfect. Got one.
Oh, it's a redfish. Look at that. Oh, it's a redfish. Oh, it came off. You've got to be kidding me. So far on this side of Western Lake, it's nothing but saltwater fish. On the other side, nothing but freshwater fish. So there we go. I think this is that redfish I had a second ago. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's a smaller one, but much smaller than that other one. But they are pretty fish. Look at that. Pretty fish. Look at the gold. He's like copper. The big dot. Alright, well my action camera died, but this was 3 pounds, 12 ounces. He put up a really good fight. Nice fish. First big one of the day. Really pretty fish. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the fishing, and if you've never been, it's a great place to kayak. And I really have no idea what those mystery creatures or animals were, and I had no intention of going to find out. Well, let me begin with where my Bible study led me this week. And it's Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 5. Obey the government, for God is the one who put it there. All governments have been placed in power by God. So those who refuse to obey the laws of the land are refusing to obey God, and punishment will follow. For the authorities do not frighten people who are doing right, but they frighten those who are doing wrong. So do what they say, and you will get along well. The authorities are sent by God to help you. But if you are doing something wrong, of course you should be afraid, for you will be punished. The authorities are established by God for that very purpose, to punish those who do wrong. So you must obey the government for 2 reasons: to keep from being punished and to keep a clear conscience. Now here's what I feel we can learn from those verses. Everything I see in the news and social media should be very concerning for us as a society. The lack of respect for anyone and anything is alarming and seems to increase each day. We really need to wake up. These verses tell us that God put government in place to save us from ourselves, our own human nature to sin. God understood that there will be evil people walking among us that will try to lead us down the wrong path, and put our governments in place to help protect us and help us make the right decisions. However, if you're doing wrong, you will get punished. It's simple. If you're breaking the law, you will suffer the consequences, just as if you break God's laws, He can make you suffer. If you're doing right, you have nothing to worry about. You will get along well with those in authority, just as if you live your life the way God wants you to, believing in Him, you will please God. I've seen it in the news recently, the disrespect shown for people in authority, or other people in general, and it seems like it doesn't take much for people to be disrespectful these days. This has caused so much turmoil in our country and all across our planet, but we can change it. By respecting authority, respecting each other, we can turn it around. And let's respect what God created, like the place I fish today. It's up to each of us to make a choice. Either live how we want and put ourselves first with no respect for others, or we can choose to live a life for God, respecting those in charge and those around us. Okay, well, that'll do it for Fishing and Faith Vlog 4 on the More Flats Fishing channel. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done so and hit that thumbs up button. Remember, you are responsible for how you live and treat others, no one else. Whether you choose to respect authority or not, no one knows but you, and of course God. Our local governments are here to remind us to do the right thing or punish us if we don't. God can do that too. However, He is the only one that can save us. With that, I'm going to close with one more verse today. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. And it says, God blesses those who realize their need for Him, for the kingdom of heaven is given to them. Thank you, and see you next time.